All right, here we are again with the undisputed Harley Smith. I'm the organic mechanic. We're going to sit down, have a visit, have a chat, and just see what comes up. Uh, I gotta tell you a little story. I was talking with a customer, and the customer said, "Boy, you really have a man crush on Harley Smith." And I started to get pretty defensive, and then I
Yeah.
stopped and I pulled the reins back, and I'm like, "Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, he's an icon. Of course I do. He's like a celebrity. I wish I could get like an autographed picture, to put on my desk. Yeah, he's an icon. So kudos to you. I mean, you're very well known out there and loved by a lot of our viewers. So nice work.
Yeah. Well, I've tried. I've made my career out of helping others, and people appreciate that, and that's nice. Nice to know I have some friends out there. But you're special though. We get to, we're colleagues. We have so much in common, and we have the common philosophy of life, and that's it makes this enjoyable. We're not having debates. I mean, we're having discussions, and the discussions lead to new insights. So yeah,
Yeah, we're
it's a
we're
pleasure.
trying to make things better. We're not trying to prove a point, or
Right.
we're trying to make things better and maybe share some of those experiences along the way to help everybody else do better.
Mhm.
So speaking of doing better, we still get a lot of comments and requests about, okay, so what microbes do I need to use? What biostimulants do I need to use? And that's such a broad question. I don't know, but one thing that came to mind, it's kind of a go-to for us, is we have a blended product that we call Roots 66. And it's a
Mhm.
blend, it's a microbial blend, a fungi blend, but then we also put small amounts of the biostimulants in. It's got small amounts of kelp, humic, aminos, and then some sugar substrates just for the growth and some starches.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a good all-purpose product. I've showed this before, but if y'all can see, it's our Route 66 product.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a soluble powder, and it's so versatile on almost any growing environment. And a little bit goes a long way. You don't need to overdo it, but it's such a complex blend of microorganisms. And with that blend, we had a gentleman in our office that works for us. We gave him a project to go through and get scientific data on what each strain does and its purpose,
Mhm.
and how it fits into that biological ecosystem. And the information he harvested and gathered together and put into a file for us, it's phenomenal, the roles that some of these microbes play. And so, anyway, for those that have questions, if you go to kelp4less.com and look at our Route 66 product, that is a go-to. It won't do you wrong. Use as directed, and you should have good results. And I just wanted to show that we grow cat grass for our pet. Little Purr is our kitty's
Yeah.
name, Little Purr, and we get 3 days faster maturity just with the addition of the Route 66. And where wheatgrass germinates and grows rapidly, 3 days is phenomenal. I mean, that's over 30% more production just with the addition of microbes. And so we know that will help make nutrients available and overall health of the plant. And you know what? They love it. So we keep doing
Mhm.
it. But anyway, that's my spill to get things started. I'm sure you can really take off from here.
Yeah, I remember early on the first microbial blend that I was able to receive from out west, from our friends out west,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, so they had a grow and a bloom microbe mix, and I said, well, here they sent me some samples. Why don't you see what this does? And I had no experience at that time with microbial inoculants, so I was working with a grower there that was doing indoors, and he was using uh, the peat as a substrate. And
Hmm.
I said, "Here, I've got some of this. You want to give it a try?" And we said, "Oh, let's try it. Let's water it in as directions." On that sample that we watered in the microbes, it it grew up and caught up and passed plants that were 2 weeks older.
There you go.
And I'm like, oh wow, this stuff works. So, well, we know in peat, you know, that that it works. So now it wasn't just faster growth. I mean, it was the leaves were bigger, the plants were more vigorous, better colors. They looked like it was a jungle plant, and all of us adding a little bit of microbes to the root zone. So I've seen it too, and my very personal experiment with microbes was even way before that, years ago. I decided to see what would happen if I inoculated some Rockwool starter cubes
Mm.
with microbes
Right.
to see if it has an effect on germination and early growth. So in the lab, I mixed up, I did some tried different substrates to see which one worked best. I did the potato starch, was the best one for the bacillus, by the
I
way.
remember this. I
I
remember
think I
that.
told you about that. So I mixed them up side by side, and when they were fully active, and they were, the foam was coming in the morning, it was going over underneath the containers on a hot plate stirrer. I just added drops to each hole of the Rockwool starter cubes. Set it up, let it dry out, let them sporulate. Later on, did the side by side test. The ones that had the microbes, they germinated faster, and they had at least 2 or 3 days head start on the other plants. So that's kind of similar. That early time, get that good root strike, get that activation, the uptake of those trace minerals early on like that. I think is very dramatic effect. Later on, it wasn't as dramatic because I was doing trials in hydroponics, so all the minerals are already available to the plant, but because it wasn't the same as it was just ebb and
Right.
flow. But early on, there was a definite difference, a
Right.
noticeable one.
Right. And what we've noticed too, if you do plant petiole analysis or sap analysis or whatever you want to do, what we found the addition of the microbials and the biostimulants really help in that nutrient management. Um, as far as if you know the nutrients are there, why aren't they available to the plant? Microbes really help make those nutrients available to, in turn, help the grower easier, more convenient nutrient management along the way too. That's what we found.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I see that, and I think another one that is often overlooked, you know, is the trace elements availability.
Hmm.
Is there feeding on exudates from the roots? The the sugars and the amino acids and other things that the plants are exuding. Uh, they make what's called Krebs cycle intermediates. They make organic acids while they're feeding, and those organic acids are mild chelators. So they make the trace elements, iron, copper, manganese, zinc. They make them more available to the plant, and right on the surface of the roots. It also makes the surface of the roots a little bit more acidic than the bulk soil. So again, that aids with the uptake. And those trace elements, you think, oh, it's just, you know, 2 parts per million, or maybe a half a part per million of better uptake, but they activate enzymes. Those trace elements, those metals, transition elements. And when you turn on an enzyme, it's possible for that one molecule to do over 1,000 chemical reactions per second in the cell. So yeah, the NPK, calcium and magnesium, things that are important for the building of the tissue, the growth of the plant. Oh yeah, that's macro. They need a lot of that. Those trace elements can make all the difference. And I think microbes are a key part in making trace elements available to the plant. And
Yes.
that's why I think we see such a difference too.
Yes, I was working with a nut grower, uh, pistachio farm,
Hmm.
and the number one issue, he said, I always have to do foliar applications of zinc during the middle of the year. Zinc.
Hmm.
I put the zinc on. It's in my fertilizer regimen, but I always have to come over the top and do zinc because my plants always are deficient. And so, I'm like, oh, good, good. Yeah, it's going to be great. All right, let's introduce a microbial program for the season. Let's put it on the fall. Let's put it on the spring. Let's put it on during the growing season and just try to increase that biodiversity and see what happens. Well, do you know what? The zinc was finally starting to become available in the soil. Didn't have to do the foliar application, and it was part of their regimen, part of their budget, part of their schedule. But the leaf analysis were coming back. The plants were great in zinc. They didn't have to do that foliar. So again, he was applying zinc. Plant wasn't getting it. Over time, we increased that biodiversity throughout the growing stage. And remember, nut trees, they're established. I mean, it's a monocrop. They've been there for, 20 plus years or even more. And this was the first time that they didn't have to do a foliar application of zinc just with the microbial program. That's phenomenal. It's time saving, it's cost saving, and less stress for the plants. And so we were able to work with my microbial program across his whole farm for that reason. It showed up right away, but we had to devote ourselves to it and continue with the program. It's not a silver bullet, but again, thinking ahead, preparing, setting yourself up for success, just like you do in hydroponic. We kind of did that on a farmsteading. So I've seen that firsthand in the field, what you're describing.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. The availability of the nutrients, and the good thing here, you found a limiting factor that you want to attach. You use nature to solve the problem, and guess what? There's a lot of unanticipated beneficial side effects when you do that, because those microbes aren't just making zinc available; they're doing so
Right.
much more. They're
Right.
helping the roots, those microscopic root hairs to grow, stimulating that so they're able to take up water more efficiently and other minerals. It's a it's a whole plethora of beneficial side effects.
That's
When
right.
the biostimulants, when they were first introduced years ago, I got to interview a German scientist back in 2001 that who was developing some of the first biostimulants. And when they were developed, they weren't looking for how to increase quality and yield of plants. That wasn't even their goal. It was for pollution control. It was to stimulate the microbes so that they could reduce the amount of fertilizer so there'd be less nitrogen runoff. That was their goal. And then all of a sudden they're saying, oh, wow, these plants don't have powdery mildew. Oh, these plants are more resistant to pest and disease. Oh, we're getting more fruit and flower. We're getting higher quality fruit. We're getting more shelf life. All those things they weren't even looking for. They were just trying to unlock the nutrients in the soil better. But
Mm-hmm.
there was so much more going on. And again, those biostimulants, as you know, not only stimulate root cells, they stimulate the microbes in the soil. So yeah, you can put them in there, you can feed them, you can stimulate their metabolism, and they're going to, as they're dividing, pop, 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 the microorganisms, that's when they produce all the biostimulant products that help the plant. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. And another thing I didn't address is a lot of times in soil, before we start a biological program, we'll take a cube, of the soil, different parts of the field, and do an earthworm count.
Mm,
Some of those cubes have zero, some have one earthworms. After being in a biological program, we've increased that over a 100% in 1 year. So, so and that goes back to that bioremediation you talked about. So we create an environment removing toxicity or other so-called biological contaminants in the soil. Nature has a way of moving back in and making that productive again. And I always tell our soil customers, earthworms are one of the first signs of health. If we can
mm.
increase the earthworm population, we know we're headed in the right direction. So that goes right back to kind of what you were talking about as well.
Yeah. Again, some of the side effects we didn't even anticipate. We're just looking
Right.
at zinc. but
Yeah, exactly.
we're looking at a zinc problem. And again, the zinc problem solved. And zinc, is very important cofactor to making the indolacetic acid, the growth hormone that's pumped to the new uh, meristems at the top of the buds, and also the new root growth. So the zinc is a cofactor to make for the plant needs to make rooting hormones. It's a cofactor that the microbes need to make the rooting hormones too. So you get actively growing roots from the beginning to the end. They can take up the iron, they can take up the calcium better. So it's we could talk about this forever because we could just focus on one part of it, and it would be a revolutionary. But it's not one part. It's of the big picture of nature having all the answers.
Yeah,
We just we
write
Yep,
that down. That's important. Yeah, that was that whole that whole little bit right there. Write that down. That is important.
yeah, yeah. I Current events. Yesterday, I was doing. I'm not going to talk about the project because it's whatever confidential or whatever for a company. But they developed. They were in the water treatment industry for many years, like 30 years, trying to remediate heavy metals, do lots of different things, right? And they developed a product that they found when they used it in contaminated soil. It was a trace element, kind of a mixture. They did an extraction process, but don't say too much, Harley. Uh, but they found that it not only remediated the problem, but they had less disease problems. The about two-thirds of the plants that were in the control started getting mold toward the end. Only about 15% of the plants that were in the treatment group got the mold. And they're saying, oh, that wasn't even what their experiment was about. They were trying to figure out what was going on. Um, but where it had the effect, Brandon, the biggest effect is when they pre-treated the soil, when they soaked the soil with this biostimulant product before planting. Now, I think maybe they got rid of some of the heavy metals, maybe they flushed them, but the control, they flushed them too. So my thought was that when the microbes are exposed to heavy metals, contaminant ones, that it slows down their metabolism. They just get really sluggish because of the heavy metals. It's toxic environment. In fact, that biostimulant product I told you about before for pollution control, they did tests with it too. They showed in heavy metals, look under the microscope, the microbes are just barely moving around. They're real sluggish. They had just one drop of the biostimulant, and all of a sudden they're vibrating with energy, and they're starting to divide. Pop, like he said, it's like a cartoon. Pop, pop, pop. They were just dividing all over the place. So I said, oh, okay, that might be the reason why you were able to protect the microbes from the effects of the heavy metals. The microbes started to become active, and they activated the immune system of the plant. That's why you didn't see the outbreak of the as much with the molds, or they got hit by the the molds the same as the other ones did, but because they were already primed and ready, they were able to fight it off. So again, the clear here was just trace elements. It didn't even have biologicals in it, but because it was able to improve the metabolism of microorganisms, it had a dramatic effect. THC went up higher, it was 50% higher. Their terpenes were higher. Does it mean it would work that way under perfect conditions? Can't say, but it did. But compared to other ones grown in a quote unquote contaminated soil, there was a huge difference in secondary metabolites.
All right. Yeah, the metabolites of organisms, another very important thing that's often overlooked. And yeah, everything serves a function, serves a purpose, and that metabolite stimulates other things, and that metabolite stimulates other things. And it's again, it just goes back to that. ecosystem, the biological ecosystem. It's often overlooked. It's hard to see and it's hard to understand, but you know what? It's there. It's doing its thing. Um, yeah, you can't work with nature, not against it. I think that's the
That's
that's the easiest way to
that's
say it.
that could be the takeaway from every talk that we do, working with nature. Because even in hydroponics, we're working with nature. I mean, we're giving them the minerals that they take from the soil, but we're
Hmm.
doing it in an intelligent, balanced way. You know,
Hmm.
so it's still working with nature because they're natural elements from the earth. The same, and they're taken up the same way the plants take them up from the earth in the soil. So yeah, working with nature. I'll say something else too. The We were talking a little bit about the zinc. The plants will take microorganisms in the root zone. They make um, amino acids. You know that they break down proteins into amino acids. One of those amino acids is tryptophan. The plants will take up tryptophan through the roots. It's taken up pretty easily by the plants up to the leaves, and then the plant will change it into acetic acid right in the leaves, and then they pump it to the new growth and pump it to the new growth in the roots. Um, so that available, but zinc is a cofactor for the production of that. When I started looking more at into kelp extracts, they were high, relatively high in tryptophan, and they had a good proportion of zinc in there too. So not only did they have the growth hormones, they actually were able to give the building materials for the microbes to make their own, to make growth hormones on the surface of the roots, and for the plant to make growth hormones in its leaves. So that's another place where kelp came in. You're feeding the microorganisms, giving them the tools and the ingredients they need to manufacture the hormones that help with the growth and health of the plant.
Boy, so many things come back to kelp too. I just read a study a couple days ago. There was a compound, an alginic acid compound in Ascophyllum nodosum, which is it was the most common, harvested kelp for our industry, what we do,
Hmm.
that actually protected the plant from a parasitic nematode. And side by side studies, and what they came up with is this compound in the kelp actually gave this nematode what it wanted, so it didn't try to get it from the plant. So it was actually proven as a protective device for this specific nematode. And it just, these studies keep coming out. We find more, we learn more. There is so much to find out about the ecosystem of the soil and plants that it's phenomenal. You can almost find something every week, some new test or development or study that's going on. Very interesting topic. And you know what? We just keep using the stuff like we always have. We're not exactly sure everything it does, but it does make a difference.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to discover so much more in the future. There's some microorganisms that will fight nematodes, they kill nematodes. But the funny part about it is one of the products manufacturers I was working with, they couldn't even list that microbe on the label
Hmm.
because the EPA would say, "Oh, this is a pesticide."
Hmm.
No, it's not a pest. It does more than kill nematodes. So he said, "Well, I guess we'll just not put it on the label then."
Hmm.
Good old US of A.
It
Here we
happens
have
all the
something, a
time.
beneficial life form, but we can't list it because it does something that a chemical would do. you know?
Yeah, that's a problem. We run into it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. It's you're restricted on what you can say and what you can tell. And I understand the reasoning behind it. The
Yeah.
false claims and protect the
Hmm.
consumer and things like that. But when you have,
Absolutely.
active research to back up the claim, well, until the powers that be approve it, you can't talk about it. So it happens
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. But yeah, it's part of the whole process. Nature again has all the answers. You know where to look, and to understand. We don't have to make a chemical. You don't have to develop new poisons to kill some
Hmm.
of these insects because nature already knows how to fight them off. To keep, maybe not kill them all. Everything has its place,
Hmm.
um, but to keep everything in control and keep it in balance.
That's
Nature
right.
will
Now,
find a balance. And someday when human beings are all gone, I hope we don't destroy it ourselves, but when they're not here, the microbes are still going to be here. Nature's going to recover. It's going to restore the planet. There'll be a new Earth. It just
that's
takes
right.
time and patience.
That's right. That's right. I always wanted to ask you this question. Um, you've always needed the Harley Smith nutrient line. You need the HS professional nutrient line. How come you haven't ever done that? We should do that.
Well, I did it once, but I wanted to do it as a liquid. I actually had it back at MPK Industries. I had a they did it for commercial, and they said, yeah, I even have pictures. I could send you a picture. It had my picture on the
Wow.
label, Harley
Nice.
Smith signature. And it was just
Wow.
an AB grow, AB bloom. We did lots of trials on it. We did the Pepsi challenge against other nutrients, and it was good. It was a
Yeah.
well balanced base nutrient for grow and bloom. But then I'm not going to get into the politics, but
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
found a way to do it as commercial product without giving me a royalty. you know, but if they put it in the stores, they'd have to pay me a royalty, so it never got released.
Hmm. Okay. Well,
Funny,
I didn't know that. So anyway,
yeah.
if you're ever bored, want to do it again, we've got the facility to do that. I think it would be well received.
Well, that's good to know. That'd be
Yeah.
good to know because I'm not going in the fertilizer business, but I could do recipes and I could help perfect them,
Yep.
especially working with
Absolutely.
somebody like you that really knows the needs of the plants. Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll keep it in
Something to
mind
think
in my retirement years.
about. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, if you ever get bored and have time, that'd be fun to to work out. Anyway, now I know the story. I never knew that story. So we all learned
Mhm.
something new. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah. And I made a lot of other nutrient formulas back in the old days too for fertilizer companies where I was the director of research. So,
Hmm.
and they're there without it being my nutrient.
Hmm.
Um, they were my nutrients, like the mother plant nutrient I made
Yeah.
that combined the
Right.
minerals and biostimulant. That was my recipe from scratch. And I'm still making improvements on that.
Oh wow.
I'm finding out once you start getting better growth of the mothers, they they need some of one thing I found was they need more magnesium than normal. When I cut back that nitrogen to potassium ratio, they needed more magnesium. Don't ask me why, but every time I reformulated, add a little bit more magnesium, and the plants responded. Anyway, so yeah, we
Okay. Well,
we can
good.
think about
Well,
that for the future.
yeah. Yeah. We'll just call it that. Another great visit. Good to see you again.
Okay, are we done for today? You
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's wrap this one up, and we'll see what happens next week.
Okay, sounds like fun. I will see you then. Have a happy new year.
Oh, you too. And I'm going to root for
2024.
Michigan.
See you later.
Okay. See you. Bye.